Hello everyone. For today's episode, we're back at the DoubleTree Resort and the Springmaid Pier. Been here many times before, but for today's video, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do like a walk and talk about the history of the resort and the pier. Before we get started, just want to state that the things I'm going to mention here are based on internet research from various websites. But I do believe most of it to be fairly accurate. There could be some of the time frames could be 6 months to a year off, but generally speaking, the time frames and the things I'm going to mention, based on the research I've done, are going to be fairly accurate. So with all that being said, I'm going to walk out on the beach for a few minutes, and I'm going to go in and pay the $3 and make our way down the pier and back. See you in just a minute. So today's date is Saturday, March 19th, 2022. And it is currently 7:20 in the morning, just about 5 minutes before sunrise. And it's about 68 degrees. Kind of an overcast morning, but it does look like we'll probably have a sunrise very shortly. Currently high tide this morning. Got one guy going out to do some surfing. A lot of whitewater this morning. Alright, so as I walk down the pier, I'm going to read over some history and factual information about the resort first, and then we'll move on to the pier. So it all started in 1948 when General Elliott White Springs, who was a World War I fighter pilot, purchased around 30 acres of oceanfront property right here in this area where I'm pointing the camera now. And then he began to build the Springmaid Beach Resort, which was originally structured similar to how military barracks are. Guests were required to bring their own towel and sheets. They also had to make their own bed. At the time, rooms would cost $2 per night, or you could pay $1 per bed, and I guess like a suite style room. These rates were the same amount for nearly 30 years. And the resort was originally owned by the textile company named Springs Industries and was only available for the company's employees. The resort opened to the public in 1953 and retained the same name as Springmaid until 2016. It was then purchased by Hilton Hotels and renamed the DoubleTree Resort. And obviously many of the buildings have changed over the years. Certain ones have certain names. I think this one right here is the Live Oak Building. I'm not sure if they still call it that or if the sign's still on the side, but this one here I'm pointing at is the Live Oak, the horseshoe style building. And then this other building over here, not the one with the blue top, but the one behind it, I think was called the Palmetto building. But there's a lot more information on the resort than that. That's kind of just general information that I thought was key and important to mention. So unfortunately, the pier here has had several run-ins with storms and hurricanes through its 68-year history. The original Springmaid Pier began construction in 1953 and opened the following year. It was destroyed the year after that by Hurricane Hazel. And the pier was not rebuilt again until 1959. And then, right after that, it was hit by an airplane and destroyed then. And then they did not build one for several years. And then in 1973, a new pier was built on the north end of Springmaid Beach, which would have been down that way, further than where we're at now, I'm pretty sure. And it stood there until it was demolished by Hurricane Hugo in 1989. The same year, the pier was reconstructed and remained standing until October of 2016, when all of it but a 100-foot section was destroyed by Hurricane Matthew. Got a plane coming over. So in 2019, construction began to rebuild the pier again. During construction, the expected opening date was going to be June of 2020, but it was postponed to one of the cranes being struck by lightning. And COVID had a little bit of, caused a little bit of grief with the process too. So the pier officially opened a couple of days before July 4th in July of 2020. This time the pier was built with steel pilings, and the pier is raised 8.5 feet higher than it was before over the water. This is an effort to help prevent storm damage and storm surge. It's also more narrow than it was before. I think it's maybe 10 foot more narrow, and this is supposedly to help it flex more over the water. And the pier's length is 1,060 feet, which was around the same as it was before Hurricane Matthew demolished it. And the restaurant, the Southern Tide Bar and Grill, also reopened. That whole restaurant and gift shop area down there remains the same. It was not rebuilt because it did not sustain hardly any damage during the storm. And it now costs $3, as I mentioned before, to walk on the pier. And I believe that is even if you're staying at the resort, you still have to pay the $3 now. So it's just kind of funny how you have to pay $3 just to walk to the end of the pier and back. And that does get you all day, but it's just, to me, it's just funny that at one point you could actually stay here at the resort overnight for around the same cost. But with all that being said, my opinion, I really like how they've redone the pier. I was not expecting everything to be the same as it was before. They don't have swings, they don't have covered areas here and there. They left some of the original character type things off, but when you're being ran by, enterprise type business, those are things that one would not expect to see anyway. But all that being said, I really enjoy it. I always make it at least one visit here every time we come to the beach. So I'm going to continue walking on down the pier. Wasn't the most impressive sunrise today, but we'll take what we got over the rain or horrible wind any day. And I believe that they're going to build some type of resort right here. As long as I can remember, there's half or two, that'll probably be up and running. Cloud patterns have really changed since I started walking this morning. Alright, so that's going to do it for this one. If you like this video, I'd appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share with others, and please consider subscribing if you have not already. I do plan to do a similar video to this for other piers in this area and some in North Carolina over the course of the next year or maybe the next couple of years. So I'm going to pepper those in when I can. So keep an eye out for those. All that being said, thanks for watching.